So welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak. This is my Ask Ivy show where I am taking your personal questions and I'm delivering out whatever answer it is that I'm getting for you psychically, empathically, or that spirit is telling me to give to you. Please do include your social media name if you've made a payment that is completely different than your social media name so that Jill, my beautiful producer, can piece together who is who, whose questions belong to whom. And if you are tuning in through TikTok or Instagram, you'll see the directions on how to purchase your live reading here in the comment feed, because we can't pin it. Okay. If you're tuning in anywhere else, it's in the description above or below. And any type of question goes. Okay. Health, wealth, travel. If you have deceased loved ones, including pets that you want to hear from, $5 gets you the short answer, $10 gets you the long answer. And if you don't want to do this publicly, you can book privately with me. I do work internationally. It's a super simple self-booking system and mostly over the phone. So you could just go to my website, Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. Internationally, you could book a private reading. This is Esmeralda Marie Rivera, and she will be with us. You want to say hi, Ezzy? Say hi. Ew. Okay, hopefully she's not stepping on the buttons. That's her new latest thing, is stepping on the computer. So we're going to try not. We're not going to do that today. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Who do we have first? Maraid, and this is a $10 question. I love you. I love you. All right, Maraid says, I keep seeing 111 very frequently. What is the opportunity I should be working toward in relation to that? Thank you. So the first thing I'm getting with this is that it isn't just one opportunity. And this is a common misconception with the number one. Now, I don't want to say this is always the case, but it does tend to be. Same thing for the number 3, seeing 111 in patterns, or 1111 Make-A-Wish, same thing as 3, where people go, oh my God, this is huge. I have something big coming, and it's the Trinity, right? Well, these two are sort of in alignment with each other. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see 1s and then 3s, and then it's possibly going back and forth for like a year to a year and a half, because this isn't about just one thing. Okay. This is major level up in your life in general. This is big potential. And when it hits like this, it tends to be hitting in multiple areas simultaneously. So what you really want to be doing is looking at your life as a whole. We want to kind of take a holistic approach to numerology with this and say, okay, where in my life have I been doing the work? Because you're not going to get the number 1, nor will you get the number 3 without having already put something in. It's what happens when the opportunity is laid out before you, in this case, opportunities, and you have to have karmically earned them. So it's sort of like the universe's way of saying, okay, you manifested this, you said you wanted it. We didn't really care about that. But because you put in the work, you took steps in blind faith, you detoxed, you unblocked, you got rid of who and what you had to get rid of. You made room for this. Now you can have it. And that's not to say it's going to be easy. And this is where people see 1111 Make-A-Wish, or 11, oh my God, I'm so lucky something's coming. Maybe I'm going to win the lottery. It's not about just taking. It's about being willing to put in the rest of the work. Okay. So it's kind of like, think of your life right now as this. You're climbing this mountain. Once you get to the top of the mountain, you're like the queen on her throne. Okay. You're going to be able to master manifestation, law of attraction. Everything will come to you. People are lucky to be able to approach you. You never get down off that throne again. You have your sword on your side. You're good to go. You also have a different vantage point. You can see things. You can see people and situations clearly. You can see things that other people can't see, and you can beat out the competition because you see again how they're behaving and what they don't see. So there's all this new opportunity that comes. But in this process where you are now seeing 1s, you're about, you've still got like a quarter of the way to get up to the top of the mountain. It's kind of the final push. And right now you're probably feeling battered and bruised. It's probably been a long, dirty journey, and you're feeling pretty exhausted and burnt out. You may not even care anymore, about like what's coming. Obviously, you do, and good for you because you're asking. But a lot of people at this point are just done. Okay. It's survival mode. So that's fine. We all get tired. But this is where you really want to call in your guides, your angels. You want to remember what you've been manifesting the last few years and all the hard work you did. You want to take some deep breaths, pat yourself on the back, and you want to get ready for the last leg of that journey. Okay. And all benefits. It's going to hit all areas of your life in this case. All right. Thank you, Maraid. We are going to move on to another one. This is from Ayana. This is a $10 question. So Ayana wants to know what will occur in TY and IS relationship soon. I'm sorry. Can we send that back? I have no idea. I'm not even sure what that is. Okay. If we could send that back. Oh, Ty is his name. Oh, Ty. Okay, so this is about two different people. All right. Can I see the original question again? You guys, when you type out your questions, please be clear and concise. Okay, thank you. What will occur in Ty? Oh, Ty and Eyes. I see. Sorry, guys. Mercury retrograde in shadow. Okay. And I'm doing my taxes this week, so my brain is fried. All right, what will occur in Ty and I's relationship soon? Okay. More of the same. I do feel like there's some uncovering. I heard unraveling. So there could be some maybe truths unraveling. There could be some acknowledgement of omissions. This could also be situations that were there, but that you weren't aware of. So, for example, this could be learning something about your partner's past. This could be understanding something more about their ex. This could be understanding more about how they do or do not properly handle confrontation, communication, requirements to assist a relationship in growth. And you may be putting all of this together like pieces of the puzzle, like piecing it together and saying, you know what, I have a better understanding of who this person is and how they act. And so in knowing that, you can make more objective, it's like decisions about what this relationship is going to be based on the patterns that have already been like presenting and that you can expect to present in the future. And I think you're doing that in a pretty detached manner. Okay, so that's where you want to be. We want to always make sure that when we're dealing with people, in any type of a relationship, we're not overly attached. We're not using our ego, which is fear, manipulation, and control, to push an agenda forward. We don't want anything out of this person. We don't want it to be more than what it is. We simply want the truth. You just want to understand who this other individual really is, and we want to understand how they operate. We want to understand how they're willing to operate with us, how much effort, in this case, they may be willing to put in, and whether or not they could be consistent with that effort. And, then we make our decisions accordingly, and you try to keep emotion out of it. And so that's what's coming up next. That's going to be the most important thing for you guys to focus on. I do feel like this is all really more you. This is you seeing this and recognizing this and hopefully wanting to process this information. And it's not really about the other person. Okay, Ty, they're just sort of doing their own thing. They don't seem to be really aware of any of this. Okay, so it's not something you need to, that sounds funny to say, but it's not something you need to involve your partner with. Okay, sometimes every time we're, in a relationship where there's some type of change, we feel a need to go and verbalize everything to our partner. And that can lead to a lot of problems. Don't forget that you are an individual and known as an extension of you. So it's two individuals, right? Being independent, coming together to potentially have a longer term relationship. I do feel like there's some potential here for you guys to come to a greater understanding after this. And it does feel like this is going to take ballpark 3 weeks for all this information to come out. But it would require that your partner is not touchy, needy, easily offended. If you were to say, I think you could work more on this area. like communication, for example. And this is just an example, but it seems like you didn't do this in your past relationships. And that may have led to some of the problems we're having because you never really improved in this area, and you need to make sure that that person isn't like crumbling or, lashing out or throwing a temper tantrum or becoming emotionally unavailable. That's an immediate if so. Nope, not doing that. Not today, Satan. All right, so we'll see. It's up to their free will. We'll see how they do with this and how you do with this, okay? But yeah, there's a lot of potential there for you guys to come together and to level up for sure. All right, so we are going to move on to another one here. Edgar, $10 question. Edgar wants to know, wondering if you see me getting a side job soon, tutoring or teaching Spanish. Soon? I think you could. I also I feel a little bit like as you may want to, it's funny, the dog barked. I don't know if you heard that, but you have to be loyal to yourself, okay? Dogs are my symbol for loyalty. Dogs are my symbol for simplicity. Dogs are my symbol for it's better than religion, right? When they just sit in the sun, they let the sun shine upon their face and they're just happy to be sometimes. They're centered, they're at peace. They have this attitude of gratitude. That's the dog in my symbol base, which is crazy. It's barking literally as I say your question out loud. So, what's happening here? Well, I think that you could. I think that you could get hired. I don't know that you want to feel that tired. I don't know that you want to put in that amount of energy into work if you are feeling already like you're on the brink of potential burnout. And I'm not saying you will be burnt out. I'm just saying you may want to do it in a limited way. So you're being very upfront if you apply and you take it and you're saying, I'm really available, like not even part-time, and there will be opportunity for you to do more. So they may ask you to do a lot more. And are you going to be loyal to yourself or not? There's nothing wrong with taking extra work, but is it going to be a test for you, where the universe is waiting to see if you're going to do what you agreed to do and say no sometimes and just sit in the sun, just relax for the day, just do some healing or have some fun or go out and be social. We like to say, well, especially here in the States, it's like, well, if you're not grinding, you're wasting your time and you're lazy. But it's like the universe doesn't have that standard. That's colonization mindset. That's capitalistic mindset. That's toxicity and what's killing us. So it's like the universe is judging your karma in regards to things like rest and play and balance. And if you feel like this is going to throw you out of whack entirely, then you need to be careful about it. Can you do it and do it in balance? I think you can. I just think what I just said, this topic is going to come up along the way. So you got to make sure every time it comes up, you're getting it right. Okay. Or else it becomes a block and it is not a road and a path to quick prosperity. Okay. But yeah, there are 3 different places you may get hired, most likely 2. Okay. So it may narrow down to 3, but then one ends up being a little wonky. Okay. The other 2 are pretty solid. All right. Thank you, Edgar. We are going to move on to another one. This is coming in from Steph on TikTok. I forgot to ask everybody, could you please give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment of any kind. It does help me out in the algorithm. Please do subscribe. And if you are here on YouTube at Ask Ivy and you want to become a member, hit the join button to see the 3 different membership options. So much going on all the time. I appreciate you guys. And thank you so much on TikTok for the hearts. All right. Steph on TikTok has a $10. And she wants to know, do I have any messages from anyone in spirit right now? I do feel a gentleman coming in who watches over you in a paternal way. And he comes in like a brick wall. Like I heard like a brick wall. This guy is pretty huge. And I mean that in the literal sense. He may have been like tall, kind of wide, like broad in through the chest to shoulders. But he also has a big personality, but it's funny because he has one of these personalities that's soft-spoken, so what you expect to hear roar, like a big roar coming out of him. He's like this big lion. And then it's like, he has a very tender heart for you and he's very protective and he's very careful. He wants you, like careful with your heart, and always making sure that he's not sort of overstepping a boundary with you when he comes in spirit, and isn't like maybe pushing you too hard to pay attention to certain things. So he has a sensitivity, an empathy about him that's, I want to say, rarely seen. Okay. Especially in men this way. So a beautiful soul. Exception to the rule. And he is incredibly intelligent. Often when we see people like this, it is due to a high IQ. All right. High IQ leads to emotional intelligence and intuitive intelligence. And so he passed this down to you. It's in the blood, he says, that you are also this way. And he works with you when you're also out in the world. I don't know if lately you've been debating on making some changes with career where you are being seen more, you are being heard more, you are communicating, teaching, leading, guiding more frequently. And it's not necessarily because someone's like offering it to you or asking you to. It's more like you're taking it and you're saying, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is part of my life contract. I can feel it. That's, the direction I need to veer off into. He's helping you with all of that and making me feel like it's not only very right, but it's also within divine timing. There's a free mini class up on my YouTube at Ask Ivy called Divine Timing, When to Make a Move. And this is something, okay, you're going to have to get used to. Another class you may want to watch. Again, it's free. It's called Intuition versus Emotion, or Intuition versus Logic. Okay, those are two classes. You are in a period of time in your life in general where you are leaving behind the old. Okay, so he keeps showing the rainbow for you. Now, the rainbow is pot of gold at the end of the rainbow after the storm, if you've been going through hardship. But it's big benefits coming into you if you take them, if you're ready for it. And it's also a bridge. We think of a rainbow from an old way of life into a new way of life. And what's happening here with you is that you have to be bold enough to continue on that journey and, take what's rightfully yours. So period of transition, it's beautiful, but you're becoming more of who you came here to be. And you're asking less for permission to be that person. Okay. And he absolutely loves this for you. You guys are incredibly similar, but you're small. Super cute. Okay. He loves you very much. Thank you. We are going to move on to another question coming in here from Carrie Watson. This is a $10 question. Carrie wants to know, 18-year career at the VA. I'm now facing a layoff due to the president's orders. Isn't he a charmer? Seeking insight into whether I will keep my job. Okay. And work from home. Okay. Or be able to transfer to another job within the government. Well, it does seem like you may be able to work from home, but you may have more beneficial opportunities for you if you were to move to another position. There could be two different positions that are going to be open or available to you. I think we do need to be careful jumping the gun. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You have grandmother coming through mom's side of the family. You have grandfather also coming through. Is this dad? Maybe this is dad. Feels more like a paternal energy. Younger. He wasn't up there too high in age. This guy. I want to say taller, leaner, pushing 6'1", parted the hair over here. Good with numbers, crunching numbers. I don't think he was an accountant per se, but he definitely understands numbers. Anyways, when these two are coming in with you, they're going to be guiding you through this along with your work and money guide. I think what's really important is that if you are applying other places, and quite frankly, if I were you, I would blanket everything. I think this is an opportunity for you to potentially evolve. And I think that these job opportunities are going to look very maybe good and solid, but the one is not. It will fluctuate in the last moments. So say you go through your interviews and we're in the final phase, something could happen there. So again, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but the other one looks like a good opportunity. And I do think you're supposed to also be, applying and reaching out, not necessarily for the outcome, but for the journey itself to keep things fluid and in motion in the right direction, showing the universe that, you are the resource. You see yourself as the resource. You are taking the bull by the horns. You're taking the reins. You're the captain of your own ship. You're not just going to be out here at sea, wherever dumpy pants, you know what I mean? Whenever he wants to create a storm with those little orange mitts, you're not just going to take it, laying down. So, this is an opportunity for everyone to say, I am my resource. This is an opportunity for everyone to say, I'm not looking outside to government and banks and institutions and my spouse's income or my employer, to save me. I'm going to be introspective. I'm going to look in and I'm going to figure out what in me is untapped, what in me still needs to be developed. Where do I want to go next? And then I'm going to start creating that out in the world. So again, don't focus on the result as much as it is the activity itself. I do think, though, there could be potential for you to do a stay-at-home thing, but I do wonder if this may come up again. Okay. So just as soon as you get comfortable, could it happen again? It's possible. Okay. So we don't want to excessively rely on that, even if it does work out that way. What is the matter? Thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry to hear about that. You can come on up. You can come up. Just don't step on the buttons. Okay. We're going to move on to another one. This is from CGJ. This is a $10 question. Could you please give me a message from Spirit about why I always feel so stagnant? I feel like I never have enough energy or drive to achieve my goals. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's going on with you is there's a lot of energy seeping out. So I don't even know that I need to look to Spirit to this. I think I can just answer this for you psychically. And you've been told by Spirit plenty of times, and mostly in regards to getting warnings, receiving warnings, or Spirit saying pull back, or Spirit saying don't respond to that person's text, or Spirit saying don't get engaged with this individual, or be careful with your love life, or be careful who you're talking to. Like Spirit's telling you all the time. It's that you don't listen. And, I'll be frank, you have a tendency to think that certain things are going to make your life better or make you happy or bring you love and fulfillment, or help you with joy, which biblically is the equivalent of energy, and you're wrong. Okay. You're looking in the wrong place, looking for love in all the wrong places. And so it's like you are choosing outside fixes for what is an inside job. Okay. And what happens when you do that is you're not only wasting a ton of your energy, the universe isn't replacing your energy, and you're out of alignment with high vibrational karma. So law of attraction kicks in and you attract, like attracts like, you attract more lower energy, but also the people that you're dealing with feel like they can take advantage of you. And they are literal vampires or they're clowns, right? You're dealing with a bunch of fools. You have to say, well, then they're going to act like fools. And so it's your choices. There's nothing wrong. If you feel like you have a legitimate health problem, and these things will develop into legitimate health problems, I can't prescribe a diagnosis. I'm not trying to. Go see your physician, but this isn't something a pill's going to fix. This is something you have to use your discernment on. And not only that, when the universe sends you, spirits and guidance, and your psychic ability kicks in and warns you, not to engage with someone or something, don't do it. You could think, oh, well, it's just a little bit of engagement. I probably shouldn't, but you don't understand how long these things have an effect on us. Dealing with the wrong people and situations is something that can take years and years and years to correct. And the damage can happen rapidly. It's like a fire. It's like lighting a match. You sure you want to light that match? Fire can get out of control real quick. So it's stop the draining by making choices you shouldn't be making, entertaining things for way longer than you should be entertaining them, and focus more on replacing your energy instead of searching outside yourself to do so. So pour into yourself more. Okay. Dating yourself, all the million things, that we know to do. All right. Thank you. CGJ. I don't know why I can't say that. CGJ. Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to another one. Real quick, if you're tuning in late, this is my Ask Ivy show, where I'm taking questions of any kind on any topic, including if you want to hear from deceased loved ones or pets in spirit. So health, wealth, love life, travel, investments, anything goes, dream analysis. And you can check the description box or in the comment section. $5 gets you the short answer, $10 gets you the long answer. And you could book a private reading with me anytime if you prefer to do that. I do work internationally. Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. All right, let's move on to Daniela. This is a $5 question. Okay, Daniela says, am I on the right path romantically with AM? Well, I don't think AM is asking these types of questions. That's the first thing I got was like, would AM ask this? And what that's saying to me is that it's very possible you're over investing in this relationship, meaning you're kind of parenting over it, or you're becoming the mother of it, and you're sort of maintaining it, and you're making sure it's always healthy and it's fed. And if there are problems, that the communication is there, and that we're doing problem solving, and that, your partner has the right tools. And it's like, and then you think about it a lot, and you ask these types of questions, and you want to, it's like, is this person investing that much into this? Or is it just like they kind of show up? You know what I mean? Like, here I am. Like, I'm getting very like, I am what I am, love me or leave me. Like, I am what I am. Here's the thing. When someone shows up to life saying, I am what I am, whatever age that started at, that's the age they will be. So if they started saying, well, I am whoever I am at 8, they are 8 at 35. They are 8 at 50. They are 8 at 72. They are always 8. You know what I mean? So just make sure that your partner not only has an attitude of contribution and analysis to the same degree that you do over this relationship, but that they do that with themselves. Even more importantly, does this person analyze themselves a lot? Are they doing self-development and shadow work and therapy and, actually, and I'm not talking about sitting on a therapist's couch, I'm talking about actually doing the work in therapy. From therapy, are they evolving? Are they dealing with things like fear and ego and, self-loathing, things that may hold them back? Are they afraid of intimacy, or, are they a little too casual about being in relationship where they feel like they can sort of coast through and they are the gift that keeps on giving? I'm gracing you with my presence, coming with an attitude of entitlement. Be careful, because those areas, if they are existing there at all, they are going to be something you will potentially overlook. All right, let's move on to another one. We are going to move on to Katie. This is a $10 question. Katie says, what does the future look like for Jeff and I? Jeff seems to talk a lot and then not necessarily process a lot. There could be some air or fire there in significant placement in his chart. And so what that may look like is like, I'm sharing, but I'm not comprehending. I'm not processing. I'm not actively listening. I'm just sort of giving off and maybe talking at you or about things enough to make it seem like we are having deeper levels of intimacy than what we really are. And we are having deeper levels of communication than maybe what you're used to. So you just may be happy to have someone who speaks, and then it's like, well, this is great. And then it's like, but what is he speaking about? But what is the point? But does he also like listen and want to hear what you have to say or think about things? So it seems to only go so deep where that's concerned. I think the reason that in particular is coming up is because it could be used as a bit of a weapon. Now, anyone who does communication, I mean, guilty, okay? Anyone who uses communication for their job, their career, making a living, maybe they, are able to be persuasive, or they're able to help people to understand what it is that they're saying. That could make that individual think that in a private relationship, interpersonal skills, you know, are like transferring. And when we're talking about something romantic where a lot of intimacy is required, it doesn't always happen. And not only that, it could be used as a weapon of avoidance or escapism, deflection. It's like putting on a show. It's like putting on a mask. And again, guilty. I think what I'm seeing with this individual is that they may say a lot, but you don't know anything. They didn't say anything of real significance. You actually at the end may feel, wow, you're really close to this person, and you actually found out nothing. And it's like, how did that happen? So, you know, it's a little it's kind of like a magician, you know. I think that what you have to do in this situation is start analyzing it from that perspective and say, okay, if there are aspects of this relationship where I feel intimacy is lacking, could it be this? You know, what is this individual willing to actually share? Could you lean into it? Could you pose certain open-ended questions? Could you see whether this person will go into deeper waters and stay there? You know, and then we'll know, and then we'll know more. Interesting. If you guys can pass this, let's call it a test for lack of a better word. If you guys can actually, you know, get to that next level and you feel satisfied with the answers, and you actually want those answers, you don't just want the relationship to go to the next level, right? Which is overreaching. Then I think there is potential here for you guys to commit on an even deeper level. All right, we're going to move on to another one. Thank you, Katie. This is from Devin. This is a $5. Devin wants to know, hi, Ivy. I hope you're well. Thank you, Devin. You too. Devin, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Devin, I think. My question is if my mama Tanya has any messages for me, feeling really stagnant in life and would love to hear from her. Thank you so much. Okay. When she comes in here, I do feel like she's cooking some kind of, it almost feels like soup, but it reminds me of something my Puerto Rican grandmother would make with chicken and rice. There's nothing like a home cooked meal, right? There's, you know, when I see it like this too, it can mean like nourishment for your soul, healing your heart. I think of those books, Chicken Soup for the Soul, you know, it brings with it a certain healing energy, not just for the body, but for the mind and to elevate your energy. So she comes in sort of serving this to you, cooking this up and sitting with you. It's almost like in a big plastic bowl, you know, like these old plastic bowls from when you were a kid, like a red one, you know, and, she's just spending some time. She has been doing that lately, coming in and visiting you. Mostly you would remember a dream. You may have another dream coming up. She said one. Could it be tonight? It could, or one day, but I was feeling more like a week. So expect it around that time. Remember, when she communicates with you, her mouth won't move. It's going to be telepathic. Okay. So you guys share a lot of information in a very brief period of time. She just wants you to know that you're in a place right now where if some relationship stuff didn't really work out, it's time for you to let that go. It's time for you to shed. Okay. Anyone and anything that is holding you back is at this point got to go. She's saying essentially every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. Okay. And what's happening through this process is they are actually regaining your power and control. And so where you're going in life, you're going to bigger places. You're going to higher places. You're going faster. Speed is about to pick up for you in life. And they just can't be in the car getting a free ride. Did they even give you gas money? It's like, why are they even there? You know? So I think that sometimes you sell yourself short. She wants you to think of yourself like a king. Okay. On the throne. Don't get off that throne for anyone. You know, people are lucky to approach you. Don't shrink yourself and don't think you have to settle for the crumbs that fall on the floor. Also, if finances have been stressing you out, I mean, this could be a general message for everyone from your mother with this chicken stew looking, you know, soup. But I think that it's not worth it, she said. It's not worth it to focus on. So you do what you can do. You do what you're supposed to do and trust that she and the universe will give you whatever resources you need. Sometimes it doesn't happen till the last minute, but everything you need will be there. Okay. And then she's talking about what feels like people you live with. She's got a lot to say. Okay. But also Red Rose, which is a birthday or anniversary right around this time. This can also be a passing anniversary or a deep love. Take it how it resonates and watch for her in some birds. Blue. I think I'm looking at Blue Jay. My God, she can talk. She seemed really like kind of laid back and reserved. I was wrong. She has a lot to say. Okay, a ton of love to you. Thank you, Devin. We're going to move on to Manny. This is a $5 from Manny. Ivy, does my wife's mom, Rosemary, in spirit have any messages for her? Her name is Liz. Okay, your wife, Liz, from Rosemary. When Rosemary steps up here, it's like she's showing me music, and I don't know that she necessarily made this music. I think she's sending her songs. She's sending her music. Now, these could be songs literally like coming on the radio or in your Spotify, but this would also be like songs popping in her head. She's also giving a white rose, which is symbolic of healing. This can also mean that there wasn't a proper goodbye or there was a lack of closure surrounding her passing because she is pulling thorns off this rose. She's also giving one over to you. I feel like the two of you being very close, and it's almost like you caretake over her. She loves you very much. She calls you her son, but it's like you caretake over Liz in such a way where you're not overbearing. You may not even say anything, but she watches you watch her heart. She watches you watch her facial expressions, and her energy levels sometimes drop and her head get low and her face get droopy. And it's like she's going through the motions of life, but there's no spark in there. Like there's no life, there's no light, there's nothing going on in there. And you immediately are like, I'm stepping up. What do I need to do? Is it an espresso? Do you need a coffee? You need a cappuccino? Do you need a shopping day? Do you need a foot rub? Do you need to go to the spa? Do you need what can I do? And I think you've gotten to a point where instead of asking her, you just sort of know how you can, maybe bring her some uplifting food or, just encourage her with a hug or just some love or just being attentive and being your mother-in-law says a listening ear, so that would be like having face-to-face, contact and just encouraging her to talk and just listening, active listening. There's not a lot to this, but it's everything. It's everything. Okay. Just know how much she loves you. She's getting better at visiting in dreams, and she does use clairaudience as well. So tell your wife, expect the ear ringing, especially the left side. The grandmothers used to say left for love, right for spite, and that was fairly accurate. The left ear ringing is mediumship. That's tinnitus, feeling like a seashell is up to your ear, heat or tingling, or like pressure. When an airplane goes up or comes down, that pressure that you get, and then she could put thoughts in her head. So it's not always going to come through in mom's voice. It's probably going to come through more as though it's her inner dialogue. It does increase in the bathroom, so expect that. But that is her go-to right now, is that clairaudience. Okay, she loves you guys, both of you, very much. Thank you. We are going to move on to Francesca Banks. This is a $5. And Francesca wants to know, when do you see me getting a job? Well, I feel you putting out a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat. It feels like I just put out 50. Are these 50 applications? I don't want to go that far. Maybe it's a 5. Okay. But it honestly, it feels like a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I think that, but this is also to the past. So that's good. We've already gotten this out of the way. All right. So it's like, if you've put in a lot of applications, it does seem to be entering into a period of, I'm hearing 3. Could it be 3 weeks? It could. I was feeling more like the upcoming 3 months total. Take it how it resonates. But where we're going to be seeing more breakthroughs. I do think that speed is picking up for you. Now, this may take an additional two days, 2 weeks. So I want to say out 2 weeks total, you're going to really significantly feel the speed pick up. And that's really what we kind of need here. We don't need more applications. We don't need more follow-up calls. We don't need more opportunities. We need speed. Okay. Something has been stagnant here. And I don't know if you have a lot of Virgo in your chart or what's going on with that, but there's been a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Look in your chart where you have Virgo. And so it's like, okay, let's move. Okay. Let's just move forward. Now, you can't force something like this. You can only do your part and then let go, let God, let the universe do the rest. And I think at this point you are moving into, more movement, but I do feel that there's been a significant amount of sacrifice you've had to make. And I want to make sure that when you go in for these contract agreements or negotiations, interviews, whatever, you're not selling yourself short. you are at high risk for saying, wow, this took a while. I'm a little nervous. I think I'm going to accept whatever they offer. This is not the time. I would rather see you walk away, okay, than to do that. Just keep that in mind as you go forward. But yeah, 2 to 3 decent options coming up total. Okay, and soon, right around the bend. So I think you'll be settled with this at 3 months out from now. Okay, in between, there's probably some transitional time, and I don't think it will take that long necessarily. Technically, this is a free will zone. There's way too many hands in the pot for me to give you a 100% guarantee. So I'm putting it in a safety zone, okay, with that statement. But I think it will happen before that. Again, starting in about 2 weeks, we pick up speed. All right, awesome. Thank you, Francesca. Good luck with that. Let's all send her some positive energy that she's not only getting the jobs that are in alignment with her life contract, she's going to get the pay that she deserves to get. Manifesting that for you. Let's move on to Camille P. This is a $5 question. Camille wants to know, I'm currently pregnant. Any messages regarding that? Well, I do feel like huge congratulations. I feel like this being pretty smooth sailing. You do have a lady who's a little plump coming through from the other side, watching over you in a maternal way. I have another lady who would have a kind of crispy hair. Maybe she bleached it a lot. Possibly cancerous condition or some type of systemic issue. I can't tell if this is dialysis or if this is like a chemo before her passing. I can't prescribe a diagnosis. Okay, but we've got her. We have a couple gentlemen coming in here. One who's not as tall as the other one and is a little more round through the belly, and another one who's actually quite tall and a little bit leaner. And I want to say there's talk of a son. I don't know if you've looked at the gender. I don't want to ruin anything. I don't know, but there's a lot of like let's say masculine energy. Okay. So even if this were a girl, this would be a very dominant individual. But we'll get off that. I feel like what's happening here is that a lot of people are celebrating for you because I feel like this is a long time coming, and we don't have to get into your history here, but you know, if this was something you were hoping for, you had tried for, there had even been 2 separate setbacks in the fairly recent past. We have this one going through very nicely, and it feels pretty smooth sailing. Again, I think I said that in the beginning, at least I heard it. I don't know if I said it out loud, but you know, I feel psychically that I'm in agreement with all of them, which is that, you know, you are going to have to, because it will be smooth sailing, you're going to have to know how to designate downtime for yourself. You're going to have to know when to say enough and sit down. And I don't want my ankles swelling and I don't want to blow up like a balloon. You know what I mean? You know, when you're pushing it too far with pregnancy, it's like, okay, that's it. You know, I'm putting up my feet. I am delegating. I'm calling in help. I don't care. I don't care if it's DoorDash or whatever you have to do. Okay. But know when to slow down, especially that second trimester. What is it? Going into the third? How many trimesters are there? I don't know. Anyways, I feel like I'm in the second part going into the final phase. Okay. Whatever that is. Yeah. Know how to slow down and recuperate your rest and your energy so that you aren't creating headaches for yourself. And it could quite literally be headaches. Okay. But this looks absolutely beautiful. You have a ton of support and they're popping the champagne. All right. Congratulations. Enjoy. Have fun. This one likes to put everything in their mouth. It's like I'm putting everything in my mouth and I'm going to build something. It's like there's this joke. It almost reminds me of you ever seen Everybody Loves Raymond? I'm addicted to that show. The older brother, he touches everything to his chin before he puts it in his mouth. And it's like this kid is like, I'm going to learn through my mouth and then I'm going to put it, say they're playing with blocks or something. It's like in my mouth, put it here. In my mouth, put it here. In my mouth, put it here. It's like, okay, interesting. All right, we're going to move on to Camille P. Nope, I just did Camille P. Are we at time or do we have more coming in? All right, another one. Let's see. Katie, this is a $5 question. Katie wants to know, does my stepdad come through with anything regarding my current situation? Okay, and we don't say what situation or have his name, so I'm going to wing it. I feel like you need to put your foot down, okay, is really what he's saying. He's a man of few words, but when he spoke, you should listen. And one thing he understood was deadlines. He understood enough is enough. He understood, now we're done. He understood, this is the line, don't cross it. He understood, hold the line. You know, he understood when things were over or needed to be and what that was going to require. And he had a very matter-of-fact attitude about that in life. And he said, you know, you get this from him where you can do this, but right now you're kind of wavering. You're wishy-washy. I think that you are letting emotion get in the way. I think that you're letting logic or overthinking. Maybe it's not logic. Let's not give that credit, okay? Because logic tells you that it is time to move on. But it's like overthinking, cyclical patterns of thought, almost like OCD loop tendencies, okay, are making you dichotomous, or is that even a word? It's like stagnating or double-minded. You know, it's like a tug of war with your own head, you know, with your own self. And so also let situations and people show you when they're done. Okay, when they're done, you're just kind of being in your life. Let things fall. Don't try to like puppeteer everything. Okay. And I feel like it also has a lot to do with I could be talking about something else here. Take it out resonates, but he makes me feel like boundary setting. It's like, don't overreach with people too who like are deliberately confused or don't want to understand, or you feel like you've held a lot of space, you know, and it's not really paying off for you. At some point, it's the mature road to say, I'm done with that. You know, this thing is done. I'm choosing to make it be done, because they won't ever leave. You know, situations will tend to not end. Why is that? Because they could keep draining you, because they're getting something out of you. Okay. You're the source. They won't go. Keep it in mind. I also feel like you're doing some significant heart healing and dealing with anxiety. He's trying to calm your heart. He will be visiting in some dreams, or you may just feel his energy around, kind of like a warmth coming up behind you, just sort of calming your heart. If you've been doing more with like affirmations or breathing exercises, that's really important. Okay. Keep doing this. He loves you very much. You've got this. You've got this. And he's with you frequently. Leroy, thank you. Yep. Okay. We are going to move on to another one. This is from Tony R, and this is a $10. So Tony wants to know, do my grandparents, Jacinto Rodriguez, Berta Rodriguez, any messages for me? Okay. Jacinto and Berta. Berta's loud. First of all, when I go over here with your grandfather, I want to say he wants you to stop tolerating things and he wants you to stop feeding things. This is a little bit of tough love, because it's very possible that what you're doing is giving energy. Energy includes your thoughts. Energy begins with your thoughts. At the root of all energy that we give are our thoughts. Okay, so let's start there and he said, end it there. If you are putting too much mental energy and attention into things that you don't want, things that you fear, things you worry will happen, having like flashbacks or memories, or, you know, getting stuck in cycles where you're struggling to release and let go, transmute and alchemize something from pain to power, from pain to lessons. You know, you need to do more work with that instead of just being taken for a ride by your brain. Okay. It's time. He was a master of doing this. I mean, you could look at this man and it would be like, hello, you know, is anyone home? Is anyone in there? And he would just be like, just kind of gone, you know, like a ship sailing in the waters of like nothing happening in there. That's how we're supposed to be. Okay. That's actually healthy. That's being in the moment. He wants you to get more to that place. Okay. I'm going to have to go fix, TikTok here. But I'll keep an eye on the time clock. I'll give you your time back. Hold on. Let me fix this. It's giving me a puzzle that I have to do. One of these weird, I don't know why it does that. It's like this weird puzzle, and then the video can continue or something. So, you know, there's that. It's almost like saying you are the biggest pain in your own ass. You know, it's almost like you're shooting yourself in the foot, right? You're your own worst enemy sometimes. So he's funny. And I feel like you need to do more, whether, and I don't think he's encouraging drinking per se, but it's like, sit back and have a beer, sit back and have like a Corona or something. It's just sit back and just, maybe just one, just, take more time for yourself is what he's saying. When I go over here with her, she's talking more about this being a very productive time for you and that you're actually writing it out. Now, that can mean that you're writing things out. If you've gotten into journaling or anything like that, Take It Out resonates. I feel like I'm looking at contracts. I feel like I'm looking at negotiations. I'm looking at time frames, schedules. I'm looking at different things that have to be organized. And once they're put on the paper and signed, they are concrete. This can't move. And so there's a lot happening there with that. But just because there's a lot happening with it, it's almost like you want it to be over with. You want to be on to the next thing. And what you're not realizing is that this part can take some time. There's a lot of paperwork here. There's a lot of calendars and negotiations and agreements and you have to sign. It's not just you. So there are a lot of hands in the pot. It's like, be here. Okay. She just wants you to be here, be here. Be here. And I feel like if you put their messages together, you've basically got like, while you're here doing this, relax, turn your brain off, get centered, have some fun. Okay. Do what is going to nourish your soul. And also pay attention to any warnings that are coming in. My right ear is ringing. Your grandmother was incredibly psychic. Your grandfather was very mediumistic. This did pass down in the bloodline to you. From two different bloodlines, right? Because he's a Rodriguez. So whatever, is she De Jesus? But it's like you've got two different bloodlines coming in here, giving you this intuition that I don't know you're really using. I think that you need to pay more attention to the right ear ringing. Okay, tinnitus. This is for everybody, really, but tinnitus in the right ear, ringing in your right ear, is your psychic ability, your clairvoyance, your third eye, your higher mind kicking in, telling you about something that's happening either behind the scenes that you need to pay attention to or is about to happen. And I think you need to have more confidence in your psychic ability. Okay. Because when that ear rings, whatever thoughts are popping in your head or whatever's going on, check your social media, pay attention to the information you're getting around that time. You can count on your psychic ability to show you the right way. Okay. If anything weird is going on before you sign. Okay. They love you very much. I also feel like a birthday or an anniversary. I think this is coming from your grandma, but Take It Out resonates. It could be both of them. A red rose, which is a birthday or an anniversary. This could include a passing anniversary or just a deep love. Take it how it resonates for you. All right. Thank you, Tony. We are going to move on to Lucy. This is a $5. Lucy says, wondering if my sister Nina has a message for me. She makes me feel like butterflies in the stomach, excited for you. I don't know if you're going through a period of time where you're just sort of like in warm water, you're kind of just bathing in the sun, or you're trying to just find more rest. It's like rest and relaxation. Like, I'm going to put my feet up. I'm going to have a cup of tea or a glass of wine. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to, you're in a very like peaceful, flowing, almost meditative state of existence, which is a beautiful thing. And she's excited. She's funny because when she sees this, I would expect her to be like, not like Tigger pouncing on you, but that's not how that goes. Okay. So she has a way of kind of coming in. Oh, okay. I get it. When you're like this, you can hear her better. Okay. So even if you were just kind of doing your thing solo, now you're doing your thing with your sister. And so this is a period of time where you can hear her more clearly, audibly popping in your head, or thoughts she puts in your head, songs, solutions, answers. She has this dialogue going on back and forth with you. And I do feel like you're entering into a period of time where you may be finding yourself in a greater power position. She also wants you to be excited for that, because it's like, if you've been feeling disempowered in any way, not even on a personal level, I mean literally like out in the world, whether it be like money and people and opportunities and just the world, in a literal sense, that's changing. So it's almost like you get the torch. She shows like the Statue of Liberty. It's almost like getting the torch, right? Which is a position of power. Also, the reference to the Statue of Liberty in this case is about freedom It's about liberty. It's about justice, right? It's about new beginnings. It's about finding a home within yourself, a home within the world. And this could be affecting your work significantly going forward. But I also do wonder a little bit about a romance coming in. Anyways, we'll have to save that for another day. But something is happening here. Do we like this person? I think we do. If they can keep it up, we do. I don't know how she means that. Okay, but like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I have light eyes and darker hair, which is a beautiful combination. We'll see. Interesting. Lots going on for you coming up. Okay, and I think this downtime is bringing that all of that toward you. You know, so again, this lesson, I feel like I'm preaching on this a lot tonight, but like we have to make time to play. We have to make time for balance and downtime to get things flowing. Sometimes that's what's missing, you know, not grinding harder. She loves you very much. She's hilarious and loud. All right, we are going to move on to another one. I do see some thank yous coming in here. You guys are welcome. Devin says, thank you, Ivy. Yes, my mom once she's comfortable, she does get going, and I've not talked to her in 8 years. Okay, so I'm sure this was big for her. Oh my God, no wonder. Yeah. Oh yeah, lots to say, lots building up. Okay, so Katie has a $10 question. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. All right, Katie, is leaving my current job the right move for me right now? It is, and I understand a lot of readers are being very hesitant about saying that, not just here in the States, but in general. All readers are like buckled down, and we're all supposed to be saying right now, stay where you are. I disagree. I think that if it's important for you to stay where you are, stay where you are. If it's important for you to take this opportunity to move on because it's more in alignment with your life contract, move on. Because in doing so, you will have the support of the universe. Okay. So this isn't a time for you to be fearful. I think that what's important here, though, is that you're being open-minded about what you're doing and you're not getting in your own way. And what I mean by that, and this is mostly coming from your work and money guide and a lady feels like maternal energy, keeping an eye on you, who was pretty good. She was pretty quiet about things. She wasn't a huge pontificator unless you asked or unless you really needed to hear it. And especially if it was about the numbers, you would hear her. So she has a way of watching over you and crunching the numbers. And I feel like that's what you've been doing. You're basically crunching the numbers and they come up shit. You know, it's like, this isn't even maybe worth it. And I don't know if it's just about the numbers. I don't know if it's just about like your pay. I wonder if it's about the amount of effort it's taking to keep up with this work or what it's taking out of you, for example. I think that you also have in her crunching these numbers with you, not for you, but with you. There's this sense of like, I have this skill and this skill and this skill that I haven't even pulled out, of my briefcase yet. All the things that you gained in recent years, there could also be like a certification or some type of education you haven't used. There's so much here that's untapped and you don't know 100% going out there that it will get you, to where you want to be, but use that, you're pulling out all these badges of honor, and you're using them. And I think it's actually going to get you quite far ahead. I do think that you need to be open-minded about that. Okay. I think that you also need to be, thinking in terms of your lifestyle as a whole. So try not to just look at this as like a career move. Think of it in terms of residency. Think of it in terms of, long-term lifestyle, what you're trying to achieve, the schedule, the calendar, how much work and effort, and then the literal calendar, how many days a week, what hours, where will you be working? Is this something you could do from home? Is this something you could be mobile with? Would you prefer to go directly to the location? I think when you're looking at all of that long-term into the future for the next, I want to say ballpark 3 to 4 years, that's your way of manifesting and attracting to you the right opportunities. So yes, absolutely. Just make sure you're also using your communication skills. Okay, so this is an important time for you to be in leadership. And don't forget, communication isn't just about like what you say. It could be the written word, it could be instruction you're giving, it could be like project organization, it could be, it's the way you are communicating something. Okay, it's also body language, it's also the way you dress and carry yourself, it's what you omit, it's what you don't say, it's what you won't feed. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Absolutely. Don't be afraid. All right. Thank you, Katie. This is from Manny. Nope, never mind. It jumped. Christina B. This is a $5 question. Okay, hold on. I got to make a mental note to myself about something. Okay. So Christina B says, what does my job or career look like in the near future? Okay, well, so I don't have the name of a company or what you do or anything, but let me just go with, here's what I'm gonna give you. Here's what it should be looking like, okay? Because you are a little bit out of alignment here with your life contract. So it could look like a million other random things that are not significant and would be the wrong direction anyways, or they would fall flat and not run deep enough in their roots to supply you long term. I think that what you need to be looking at is more opportunity to convey information. So I do see you on a computer. Now, this could mean information coming in and information going out, but this would be more of like you having an expertise and you're sort of explaining things to people and you're sending it and then it's off. You don't know what happens. You don't have to care about what happens. You don't have to follow up with what happens. It's off. Okay. You have done your part and are moving on. I also think that, there's some level of almost like managerial work or expertise level where you can find people coming to you who maybe they are higher up, right, in the field, but like they come to you needing you to get done what they're doing. So it's almost like you're the right arm, you are the cornerstone. You are beneficial to them in a way where if you're not there, nothing actually functions at all. And so be aware that you are moving up into more of these positions, or could be if you claimed it for yourself and fully recognized it. The other thing that I'm seeing is communication in language in the literal sense. So if you're, maybe bilingual or trilingual or whatever, it could also have to do with speaking to people in a way that they understand, almost like speaking within certain jargon, I guess. This is something else you may have a lot of opportunity to use. And I think that where you're headed now, you need to be mindful of those skills and leadership abilities and level up potentials. That's where the money's going to lie for you. That's where the opportunities are going to lie. If you're doing anything low level, behind the scenes, tolerating a bunch, you're kind of, hidden and lost in the sauce or in a cubicle, like none of that is it. And it would just be more of a cycle of the same. So, we need to move on and evolve through that. All right. Thank you, Christina. We are going to move on to another one. This is a YouTube user from AJ. This is $5. So AJ says, should I sell my rental property? Should you? Could you? You could. Should you? This isn't really a psychic question like yes or no. This is up to your free will. You have a lot of options. I'll tell you what your options are and you can make the decision for yourself. You could. And then you may choose within the upcoming 1 to 2 years to like fully relocate. And a full-on relocation could look like you're much more in alignment with like your soul, your spirit, your life contract, the environment, the weather, the lay of the land, the atmosphere that you want to be in. This could include work opportunities and things like this. This could also lead to additional travel. And investment opportunities. So there's a lot happening with that path. You could also, keep it. And while dealing with some headaches and some repairs, I think we're looking at feeling as though there are some benefits to having it. And it's like, if you're playing a game of poker, it's like I'm biding my time. I'm waiting to make the right move. Could there be a better time? I'm definitely going to do this. I feel like you already made up your mind. But it's about when. okay, with this part. So if you hold on to it for now, it's about when do I do it? And I mean, honestly, if I were you, I would. I just would. I would now. I would now, and I would move on with my life, because if you're just kind of waiting, playing this waiting game anyways, I don't see massive benefits coming to you in the waiting game, in the stalling out, in the postponing. Like there's nothing kind of there. So like, what's the point? There's nothing you can't do if you were to sell this off that, you can't do if you kept it, I guess is the right way to say it. Hopefully that makes some sense. But yeah, I would if I were you. But you don't have to. Either way, you have about a 2-year buffer zone here to make some significant moves. So you're not on a deadline, Let's move on. I need a new piece of paper. This is a mess. Okay, where are we? How many more, Jill? Nine more? Good Lord. I should have shut out my booking calendar. Jill, can you shut out my booking calendar and let me know if I have anyone booked and I have to wrap up the show now? Are you allowed to go into the Google? Just shut me out for the rest of the night. I don't feel like out working after this. I'm going to treat myself to a night off and finish my taxes. Okay. All right. So thank you, Jill. Okay. So let's move on to Daniela. This is a $5 question. Okay. Daniela says, am I on the right path professionally? Professionally? I think you could do more in the healing arts. I think it's important for you to either, whether it's putting your hands on people in a literal sense and offering them healing energy and or communicating with them, and that sends them healing energy through, your words. We would also say like your presence in general is very healing. I think that you could be doing more with that. I think that what you're doing right now is you're within structures, you're within systems. And because of those systems, there could be very specific things that you are allowed to do and that you aren't allowed to get into. So keep an open mind. I do think that what you're doing is also assisting you in getting a lot of background information. I get the sense of where you are right now professionally. You're working from the bottom up. It's almost like you're learning things from the bottom up. Okay. You're seeing behind the scenes. And so there's a lot of valuable info there. It's almost like if you were in a video game, you're collecting little tokens on every level and you're putting them in your little sack and you're keeping them, to be able to level up. So I think that that's fine to continue on with, but don't forget what the bigger picture really is for you. Okay. This is a stepping stone. And within the next 3 years, that'll become more and more obvious. So when the universe shows you, you need to be going in this direction, don't fight against it if it is a little different than what you've been investing in. All right. Thank you, Daniela. We are going to move on to another one. I'm going to wait for Jill to come back from dealing with the booking situation. No one was waiting, correct, Jill? I'm good to go. Booking is clear. Okay, so we're going to move on to perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Katie. This is a $5 question. If you guys are tuning in late, please give this video a thumbs up, drop some hearts, drop a comment of any kind. It does help me out in the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button. And if you want to become a YouTube member at Ask Ivy, hit the join button to see the 3 different tiers of memberships. I appreciate you guys. If you want to do this privately, go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com to book a reading. I work internationally. All right. So Katie says, does Jeff's dad, Jeff, have anything to say to him about his current situation? Well, a couple different things. He wants him to relax. He keeps kicking a ball over to him, which is my symbol for needing to play more, needing to relax, needing to shake it off, needing to take some deep breaths, maybe talk more. It wouldn't hurt for him to get into like talk therapy or just communicate more about what he's thinking and how he's feeling. There's a lot of suppression here and a building up of energy in him. And dad shows him kind of hunching over. So he's kind of going from almost like tense and nervous and anxiety and stress and aggression to defeatism, to feeling like a deflated balloon, to feeling almost depressive. I can't prescribe a diagnose, but there is this sense of heavy energy. And it's like, I give up. I quit. I don't know what more I can do. He seems to also feel as though he's like trapped in some way. And I want to say it's not just about the situation, but it's in life in general. It's like, I can't find my way out of this box or this prison or this maze. It's symbolic of being in a forest. And when you're in the forest, even in the middle of the day, you really can't find your way out. If that's ever happened to you, it's kind of shocking. So it's like looking for a light at the end of the tunnel, but where is it? And I think that what Dad's really talking about here is that he needs to understand he isn't alone, that this is a normal transition in his life. Everything is as it should be. And everyone he's involved with is where they have always been, and they are where they belong. And he's learning a lot more about, I want to say, boundary setting at this time, saying no to anything else that's going to like be a waste of his energy or stress him out. He's exiting also situations that are deliberately confused or deliberately misunderstanding him or causing stress and drama. I think that he's trying to move up and out, okay, of some old ways of life. And this is the way it's transpiring. This is the way it's sort of karmically, coming to a head. And that's okay. He is where he belongs. Okay. But he needs to release a little bit more. He's taking this really personally. He's really almost taking a life change that he's going through and judging himself for it. He's saying like maybe thinking like he did something bad or wrong, or he's not doing a good enough job with it, or he's just so eager for it to end that there's this sense of self-blame and deprecation. It's like defeatism. So he needs to let go of that. All right. And he loves him very much. Thank you for that, Katie. We're going to move on to Manny. This is a $5. Manny says, we stay at the same place in Florida every year. They always ask us to buy into a timeshare afterward. We just accept the freebie. Nice. Will they continue to pressure us to buy or let us go without signing up for a timeshare? Will they pressure you? I mean, I feel pressure. I don't know that it's that. I don't know that it's something is changing, but within a year, they are working the market. It's almost like they're trying to get something locked down because they feel they can make greater profit if they do it at this time. So it isn't necessarily like they may be pressuring you to do it for the sake of, avoiding problems. It's more like I can make a lot of profit if I get this, so maybe something is changing within the year. I think so. And I think that you're going to hear more about it. But it also seems like availability may change. So that's another way to do it, because there's some other like random alternative that you didn't ask about, but it almost feels like somebody else could take your place. Somebody else would be willing to do it or eager to do it, or, they could do it another way and it could go away. Not even the property could like go away somehow. So maybe a reselling. Yeah, there's some movement here. I think you need to figure out really, what you want to do. And I think you need to understand that a decision may need to be made on this within the year. It's also possible that nothing happens with that, whether they stagnate out, they hesitate for too long, the opportunity passes them by, or something else comes about and they get distracted. It's possible they won't go through with it. So this is a tough call, but yes, there will be some pressure and there will be changes, and it's fairly significant. Yeah. Interesting. A lot of moving parts there. All right. Thank you, Manny. We are going to move on to another question coming in here from I always mean to ask you guys, and I forget every single week, where are you guys tuning in from? If you could drop in the comment section where you are, okay, I would love to know. Okay, I am in New York. All right, so this is Rachel. This is a $5 question. So Rachel wants to know, should I be in a relationship with Shane? Should you be? I don't know that you're getting a lot out of it. I mean, a question like that it has to bring some benefit to you. Okay. So when I look at it in the future, in your free will zone, because you have free will and Shane has free will, when I look at it and I ask, what are the benefits? It's debatable as to whether or not there will be benefits. And I don't care for that. There should be guaranteed benefits. And we can debate as to maybe like how far the relationship will go, will there be deeper levels of intimacy, will we be able to build and create? That's fine. Okay, but we can't even get there without the basics, this basic level here of gain. And what happens when I look there for the gains is that Shane may be stingy. If you've ever dealt with a stingy lover, Shane may be unwilling to give you what maybe should be given or you're asking for. And this can suggest that you've settled for less. It can suggest that Shane thinks he can get away with it, basically. So you want to treat every relationship like it's a business transaction, because unless it's a parent to child dynamic, which is unconditional love, it is transactional, right? And so when you say to someone, look, you're a stingy lover, you're not giving, whether it be time, affection, attention, money, resources, brain power, helping me build, helping me figure out like where we're going to go for our next date, our next vacation, a trip, like what is the contribution level here? What is it? And, you being like, well, I'm not asking for much. Okay. Well, that is a huge problem. I mean, you should be asking for the most, and making sure then that person delivers. And so there is this sort of energy here of like, it's okay. It's just okay, which is the bare minimum. And when we start on that level, it's very hard to get it back up to a higher level. Okay. So I would say if you start something like that, you're better off probably just exiting scene left, because you're going to retrain. This is not the type of person who wants to really level up in their life on a personal level. And so then, really with anyone else, Shane doesn't really want to be bothered a lot. I don't know what the point is. If you're going to get involved with other human beings on an intimate level like this, you should really be bringing your A game, or take yourself off the market, so questionable. Yeah. Okay. We are going to move on to another question here from Edgar. This is a $10 question. So Edgar wants to know, does my cousin Patty have any messages for me? I feel like Patty is popping in and popping out. I don't feel like Patty has anything too serious to say. It's more like I come in, I remind you to refocus your attention so that you aren't taking things too seriously or getting into cyclical patterns of thoughts. I try to yank you out of that. Patty tries to make you laugh. I feel like sending you songs, sending you funny memes. So it's even like on social media or something like maybe really great pops up in Netflix, right? Or I don't know. I keep seeing like Love on the Spectrum. Like I'm obsessed, it's sort of like, oh my God, this great new thing that I can like fall down a rabbit hole with. And it just like brightens my whole life. That's what she's doing for you. Now on a more serious level, I do feel like she's been trying to help you get out of your head a little bit more in regards to feeling defeated and maybe getting a little too hard on yourself and rushing things. Those are all separate things. Okay. But they're connected for you somehow. So I think that sometimes you take it personally, she says, when things aren't happening fast enough for you. It's like maybe you did something wrong. Now you may say logically, that's silly. Of course I know that. Of course I didn't do anything wrong. I can't control all these things. But do you know that? Do you know that in your soul, in your spirit? Is your energy level reflecting that? Because then why do you keep trying to fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it? Clearly, you do feel responsible. And it's almost like you need to get in check where things actually belong in your life. This is my responsibility. This is where I need to let go, let God. This is where I need to hold myself accountable. This is where I've done enough. I'm not thinking about this anymore. And then literally shut your brain off. And that takes a lot of self-control. That's everyone's biggest question. Well, how do I do it? Routine, patterns, recognizing bad habits, mindfulness, awareness of your thoughts while you're awake all day and while you're asleep, changes in your energy level, changes in your body. Are you tense? Is your stomach upset? Are you getting a migraine? Are you thinking right in a loop? You work with this more. So it's not just that she's bringing in like joy and happiness and fun and playfulness and silly things. It's that she's trying to help you get out of your own way. So you're also not blocking those things from being received, and you're allowing yourself to really be fluid and able to enjoy and embrace those things. Okay. It's sort of like, don't be mean to yourself, and also be realistic, because some of this is ego. I don't know. Maybe you have some like Sag or Capricorn or Virgo somewhere in your chart that's very like, it has to be done a certain way and it has to be done at a certain time or else it's wrong. It's not wrong necessarily. It's taking time. And you don't control that, right? That's ego, fear, manipulation, and control. So let go of ego. You're not God. You don't control time. You only control what you can do. All right. She's beautiful. I feel like red rose, or like is it a rose or is it like a begonia or something? It's like a gardenia or something. It's like a red flower in her hair. She pulls it out and she gives that to you, which can just symbolize, love. It can also be a birthday or anniversary right around this time. Take it how it resonates. She loves you very much. All right. Thank you, Edgar. We're going to move on to an Ayana. This is a $5 question. Ayana says, where do you see me moving to next and when? Well, I feel warmer climate. I mean, I thought maybe something like Texas, or it feels like you have options here. So I could be looking at something like Florida. Could it be West Coast? It could. We could be looking more at California. And then the equivalent of Texas there is Arizona. Okay. So I think that what you need to do is start narrowing it down a little bit more. Not that you haven't been doing that, but more in regards to like, where do you really feel connected to the people, the atmosphere, the mentality, the lay of the land, the weather? What's important for you? I keep hearing dry heat. I don't know. Maybe your hair is going to frizz up or something, it's going to be intolerable for you. Some people can't handle anything other than, dry heat, but that's funny, right down to that, even down to that. Okay. Weather is important. Weather controls a lot of people's moods. If you've ever been in a depressive area, I won't talk down on where I live. Okay. But when it's gray 8 months out of the year, there are high levels of depression, drug addiction. Anyways, it's important for you to look at the detail on what you really want here. You have several options. What I do think is important is that when you're in alignment with the lay of the land, right, the atmosphere, the weather, and the way that people think, for the most part, you are I'm hearing congruency. There's going to be levels up with your money, with your resources, with, yes, your career, but also things like networking. Okay. And you enjoying your downtime, I don't know if you live in a place now where on a day off, it's like, I don't even want to leave the house. Like, what's the point? There's nothing to do. I don't want to spend money. I don't want to deal with the people that I live around. You know what I mean? You're like, where's the peak? Where's the high point? What's the point of a day off if it's just you staring at a wall? So it's really you thinking about it in terms of kind of getting out of a rut in a lot of ways. Okay. But yeah, several options. Washington also comes up for you, which is interesting. Could be a lot of work connections and stuff there. So we'll see what you decide when you narrow it down a bit more. But it's not like, and when you ask a question like this, like, where am I moving to next? So it's not just wherever the wind takes you. It's where you choose to move to next. Okay. So use your free will. Okay, let's move on to another one. So Rachel has a $10. So Rachel says, is my marriage going to last? I'm feeling like I'm going in deep depression. Well, I think the problem is that we don't really have two people coming to the table saying, I want to work on this. Your partner may have given you some load of bullshit, making you think that maybe they were sorry or they were going to, or, I almost did. And it's like, well, it's a little late now, it's a little late now. All these empty promises. I wouldn't be surprised if you're angry and it's coming out as grief. I wouldn't be surprised if you're raging inside and it's coming out as exhaustion on you physically. Okay. But I pity the fool who crosses the line with you once you start recuperating your energy a little bit, because, you could have this explosive sort of fury that you need to process, and you should. Okay. But it is something that may take several years for you to work out of your system. And I can't prescribe a diagnosis, but just know that can lead to things like migraines and, autoimmune problems and, dysregulated nervous system and all kinds of things, irritable bowel. And I mean, on and on. This is why we don't deal with people who are stagnant, because it's going to go somewhere. Where's all that energy going to go? It's pent up inside you right now. So, and like you said, it's starting to look like a deep depression. Yeah, I would say it's a lot more than that. Okay. So be careful. Is it going to last? I don't know why. In all honesty, I don't know why you would let it last. For what? What are you doing? This person has not delivered on their promises. If someone says something to you like, I want to do better or I will do better, and then they don't, they're gone. The first red flag is the last red flag. That's it. You've had years and a million different examples of this accumulated pattern upon pattern upon pattern. And you're waiting for what? For what? Okay. You are the what? You control whether or not you sell your soul for this, and your health and your wealth and your future and your happiness, or you take the bull by the horns and you get rid of what is a leech on your life and your energy, who is proven to choose failure over and over and over again. And that is deceit. And that's where your anger is coming from. Okay. But even deeper than that, you've been deceiving yourself. And that's really where it's starting to build. And that will turn into despair and depression. Okay. So you've hit the peak. This is it. You need to make a move. And you don't need any more proof or information on what move that is. Okay. Stop asking and move forward. Okay. Sorry to hear that, Rachel. We're going to move on to another question. This is from Katie. This is a $5. So Katie wants to know, does Gary's mom, Mary, have anything to say to him about what is going on in his life currently? Gary's mom, Mary. Okay. I just keep getting that he's being the sacrificial lamb. You ever see the sign of the cross, or like the stigmata? Christ on the cross. I am a martyr. I am a victim. I have sacrificed myself. Now, Christ energy is a beautiful thing when used properly, but when you decide to use it as a shield, for self-hatred, self-loathing, hate against other people, making wrong decisions, use it as a weapon, right? It's going to bring bad karma, bad juju. And it does feel like this is some of his situation, is that so what she's talking about here is that he's basically feeling like he's a sacrificial lamb. He is feeling as though he is a victim to circumstance. He's feeling like, a martyr, or nothing can be done, or this is the end of the road for me. So he needs to take ownership of what he can. She's a mom. She talks like a mom. This is funny. And he does need to lighten up about it a little bit as well, okay? Because he's taking things a little too seriously. But he needs to take ownership of what he can. He needs to hold himself accountable where he can. He needs to do what he can. And then he needs to let go, let God with the rest, okay? Let go, let the universe, let mom do her thing. But he's not a victim in all of this, and he's not a martyr, and he's not, trapped. Things are as they should be right now. And there's a lot more examination that he needs to do with his situation because he's lived with blinders on for so long. He has chosen not to look at the bigger picture with things, and that's avoidant and escapist. And so, there's a lot to examine in life right now, and that's okay. It's an okay place to be. I also don't feel like he's just going through one circumstance. I feel like it's a bunch of things, kind of coming to a head at once. So it's what I call pivotal point. It's a moment of great change, and that's okay. Typically, when we see something like this, he's within a 2-year period of this happening. Okay. So what it can no longer be there needs to exit, and he needs to work with that as well. She loves him very much, and she is encouraging him to focus on what's important. And I feel like he also needs to speak his truth more in all of this. Clear the throat chakra. Okay. Speak your truth. And if you were rejected or not heard, you come at it again. That'll also be coming up in this situation a bit. All right. Thank you, Katie. We are going to move on to another one. This is from Manny. This is a $5. So Manny says, does it look good for us taking a trip to Madeira Island, Portugal this year, September or October? Well, I think it could be either, but I do wonder if there's so much happening in September that things keep getting moved that you're like, let's just move it. Let's just move it to October. Because I do feel a couple weeks in October where it would be pretty free and clear. I think that's the second week and the third week, even if you wanted to go the first week. And so one of the things we may be able to do is go, it's almost like the last week of September into the first week of October, somewhere right around there. I think it will work, but there does seem to be an awful lot of movement happening in September that could make it complicated. I think what you really want to do is to understand that these are basically within the same time frame. I don't know if the weather is part of your decision, and it's almost like I would rather go in September, whether it's again climate related or it's also financial. Maybe like better pricing, better opportunities, something like that. But I really feel, in a nutshell, if we were to combine these two, given all the change that I see in September, they're basically the same. I mean, it's all adding up to be about the same. But yes, absolutely. A little bit of work in making sure you hit the right mark on that if you're pushing September, including the last week. But yes, October is easy. All right. Thank you, Manny. We are going to move on to another one. This is from Katie. This is a $5. And Katie wants to know, should I try to make my marriage work with Gary? I feel like you have been trying to make your marriage work with Gary, and I don't know how many times you're going to go around this mountain. You're like a donkey. You got a lot of, I don't know what donkeys do, but it looks like hay on your back, and you've got like it's straw, like going sideways. And it's like, let's add some bricks onto this and let's put some people up here. And look, the kids want to go for a ride, and it's like, what the hell happened to this poor donkey? Like how much shit are you going to carry? How many times are you going to just around and around and around with this? And so it's suggesting to me that 3 times you tried to work on it. That's a lot. I think that one of those times too, something could have come to light where trust issues became the forefront. And so, when trust is broken, you can enter into a whole new level, of, I'm hearing disdain even. You can enter into a brand new set of problems and toxicity with your partner, okay, that just makes all the effort you put in and all the effort you're going to have to put in order to make it work nearly impossible, really, and so toxic that it's unhealthy. It would require you basically lose self-respect or sell yourself. It's like selling your soul to be in this relationship because there's no longer trust. So you're deceiving yourself, or you're allowing yourself to be deceived, and you're having to watch that, monitor that all the time. Okay. So there's also that set of problems that comes in with it. And I ultimately think that you're not dealing with another person who's wanting to work with it. So you would have to have two people who are coming together saying, I'm actively working at it. I hope it's going to work out. They've proven for a long time that they're putting in that effort, and we see progress from that effort, and we just don't have that here. So why do you want to keep being the donkey? No, I would not keep working on it. What is it? You're the prettiest girl in the world. I love you. Okay, thank you, Katie. We're going to move on to another one. Is this from the same Katie? Is this a 5 or a 10? Is this another Katie? I don't know if this is a 5 or a 10. Oh, this is a 5. Okay. So we have Katie says a $5 question. Katie wants to know, should I give up on reconciling my relationship with Jeff? Yes. He keeps telling me it's not done, but continues to ghost me. It's abuse. It's abuse. That's abuse. Okay. It's a narcissistic tactic. I can't prescribe a diagnosis. When you look up the 12 or there's 16 narcissistic tactics, it's called hoovering. It's called breadcrumbing. So it's abuse. He literally reaches out to you to get you to respond. He immediately gets high off of that to sleep with him. Well, he has the biggest ego stroke ever. Okay. To confess that you miss him or want to be in a relationship with him, or fully take him back. Now he knows he gets to continue to abuse you. The ultimate high, right? And then he drop kicks you. Why are you abusing yourself? Because I think that the very first time you see something like this type of lack of character and integrity in someone, you're supposed to run for the hills and go no contact. And you just keep you want the abuse. Okay. So ghost him, go no contact, and go to therapy for codependency. Okay. All right. Thank you, Katie. We're going to move on to another one coming in here from. Oh, that was my last question. Okay. A little tired. All right. Okay, we are at time. All right, very good. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget, I have a brand new free show. It'll be the 3rd episode that I do. It's something pre-recorded because I never do anything pre-recorded on my YouTube, and I need to start putting effort into my YouTube channel. I'm hoping to hit 100,000. I got a long ways to go. So please do support me. It's a free show exclusively on YouTube at Ask Ivy. And the next episode is going up April 12th at noon. And it's going to be free horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. If you guys need to book a reading, a party, or a psychic fair with me, go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. I do work over the phone and in person and internationally. Okay, so we can work with any timeline. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Spirit. Have a great night, everybody.